Okay, so I guess we should start off with the meeting and okay, let me share the screen. Okay, we will, okay. So today we will be covering up box sizing, then we will learn more about text formatting, then we will move on to display property like the block, inline and inline block, and we will also be covering the developer tool. So let's first do the developer tool. Okay. So let us go to github.com, github.com, and it's okay. So there are two ways to view the HTML file of a web page. So either you can right click and click on view page source. So now you get the whole HTML of github.com HTML file, and the rendered version of this is this. Okay. The other way is to inspect the page, and this is what we will be using most of the time. So here you will be getting the code of the HTML document, and down here you can see the styling, the CSS. This is defined for it. So let's say I choose this. So this is the H1 tag, and you can see that the font size. Okay, so we will be doing font size. Okay, you are familiar with line height, right? 76 pixel, and color is white and things like that. So you can basically see the whole CSS. And suppose I write, okay, so here the exclamation important is there, which means that it will override any other changes. Like if there is, if I try to define the font size as, let's say, 30 pixel. Okay, so you can see it's not working. So if I try to define it as 30 pixel and it's not working, I can simply inspect the page, and then I can see that here the font size is 72 pixel, and this exclamation important means that this will be enabled in that case. And so I can enable this by writing exclamation important here also. Okay, this is sometimes annoying. Important. So now you can see it's in pixel, and you can basically change any CSS property, apply any of it. Let's say I want it to be green, and if I write as it's important, now it's green. Okay, so you can play around with it. You can even change uh, the HTML where the whole so like you can change the HTML from here as well. And yeah, but these are not permanent changes. I didn't change the uh, source code of GitHub. I only changed the source code which I got from the server. So if I refresh it, all the changes are gone. Okay, it's taking some time to load. Okay, it all the changes are discarded, right? So yeah, this is the developer tool. And so whenever you make any changes in the developer tool, like if you're building a website and you apply some CSS here, make sure to make the same changes in your CSS file. Otherwise it will be gone if you refresh the page. Okay, so we will be starting off with CSS Starter Template. Okay, so here I am in this one. Is my HTML document like this. Let's first link the CSS file. Link CSS not now it's working. Yes, this is the image is not working. Link. Okay, here I got it. Link CSS. And then I can, this is empty as of now. Let me add a div inside of the body. I have to manually do that. Due to some reason, my image is not working. Okay, so let's say I have a div and I have cancel lorem, let's say 4. Okay, lorem 4. And let's give it some background color. Just a second. Just a second. Okay, great. So now let's give a background color to the div. Let's say we give the background color as mm, let's choose maybe console and just open it with live server. Okay, so okay, console is not that visible. So okay, so suppose this is my navbar. So I don't want this empty space between top of the top of the page and this navbar. So this is because there is some predefined CSS for div, right? So that's why we have margin. I didn't define any margin for it, but it's predefined for div. So in that case, what we do is that we always, if we want to custom style it, we do margin. We define for all the elements. This is universal selector. So we have margin as 0, padding as 0, and then we have box sizing as border box. Okay, let's comment this out for now. Okay, so it is fixed, right? Now let's dive into box sizing. Let's put some more text. Maybe 20, and it gives an ID to this div ID as div1, and let's define the width of this div as, let's say, 100 pixel. Okay, let's reduce this text. Yeah, let's add some margin of 10 pixel. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so you can see that they are of the same width because we defined it. So, but now I want to add some. I want both of them to be uh, same as in with width, like the same of both should be the same. So that's why I defined width as 300 pixel for both. But suppose I am adding padding to it of let's say 10 pixel and border of 2 pixels solid in uh, blue. So now you can see that the width changed, but I defined it as 300 pixels, right? So this is happening because in CSS, the by default property of box sizing is of content box. So what this does is that it calculates the width of the actual width of an element is the width you define. Plus, if there is any padding, it will add it and the border as well. So we have border on both the sides, so it will make it 4 pixel. Plus padding on both the sides, right and left, it will make it 20 pixel. So 20 plus 4 is 24, and plus 300, which makes it 324 pixel, whereas this is only 300 pixel. So to fix this, we change the box sizing property to border box, and what it will do is that it will squeeze it and change the actual width of an element to what we defined the width to be, 300 pixels. Okay, and the border and margin will be adjusted within it. So yeah, this is border box, and these are the three properties which you define for all the elements at the starting of the CSS file. Or if you are writing a CSS within the document, then also you write that. But actually, don't write it within the document. It's always good to write external CSS. Um, Next we have fonts. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, let's remove one of the tails and let me comment this out. Okay, and let's have some more text. 10 maybe. Okay, let's remove this width property. Okay, now you can see that this is my text. Suppose I want it to be like it is too big for me, so I want to change the font size. So you can change it by using the font size property, and let's say I want it to be 10 pixels. Split the screen. Okay, I want it to be 10 pixels. So the font size change. I can make it even bigger, 40 pixels. So yeah, that's it for font size. And then we have something known as font weight. Okay, so what font weight does is that font weight. Okay, so what it does is that it defines the thickness of the text, right? So if I keep it as 100, okay, so there is no change because I think by default it is 100. So if I do it 900, so now you can see that the maximum value is 900. So it's between 100 to 900. Like if you go here, VS Code will automatically tell 100, 200, 300 till 900. Okay. And we also have something else lighter and bold. Okay. So it is basically to define the thickness of the text. Close it up. And the next thing is font style. Okay. Oh, sorry, font family. So font family, suppose I want to change the font family of this. So font family is, we generally refer to it as just font. So like for now, I will be getting all those which are pre-installed in my system. So let me choose Times New Roman, and as soon as I click it, as soon as I save it, okay, so I guess Times New Roman is by default. Let's change it. Maybe India. So let's remove this font weight. Then it will be much more changes. Okay, so font family can be, let's say this. So I'm only getting the ones which are pre-installed in my system. So if I want something like maybe Roboto, then I either have to install it on my system, but that will not be right because I have it on my system, but others will not have. So the best way to solve this issue is to use Google Fonts. Okay, There are other services also, but let's use Google Fonts. So here we have, let's say, okay, so these 500, 500, 700. So this is just the font weight which we discussed right now. So let me choose the regular one, 400. Okay, so this is you are actually fetching the font from somewhere on the internet. Okay, from some place. So you need to either include like this. You either can add this link tag within the HTML file inside of the head tag. The and it's different for different fonts, so you just need to copy it from here and paste it. So either you can do this. Okay, let's first try out this. The font family will be this. Okay, and yeah, you can see the changes. This is what it looked before, and this is what it is now. Okay, so in this way you can change the font family. And there is another way to include the font. Let's say you have 10 of you are making a template kind of a thing, and so if you will be having 10 such HTML file and you only want to make a single style sheet, so for that what you can do is, instead of adding this link tag to all of the HTML documents, you can simply add you can simply add this at the rate import within your CSS. Okay, so it will be same. There is no change, no difference. Either you can add it in the HTML or in the CSS. Okay, so yeah, and after that, I guess font style is done, font family is done, font weight is done, font size is done. Okay, now we come to display property. Okay, so for this, I will be needing two span tags as well. Okay, let's reduce the text. Okay, okay, so let's just replicate this there, and let's rename this as span. Okay, so now we have two divs, or these two divs and these two spans. Okay, let's give some background color to span as well. Span can be see. Okay, so okay, so it's looking as if, let's add a little bit of margin to the span. Otherwise, you can't distinguish between, well, like you can't see where the span ends. Okay, so here is the first span. This is the second span element. So you can see that there is some difference, right? Let's have the same font size for both of them. Okay, let's reduce this to 5 pixels. Okay, so you can see that here they both are coming in the same line, whereas it is the text is only consuming half of the space, but the rest half is blank. Like it is stretching to, it is taking the whole block space, even if the text is only half of it. Okay, and whereas span, it is only consuming the space which it needs to, and leaving out the other space, so that the other span can also fit in. So this, this, if I inspect the page, okay, by the way, I think I missed this out. If you, this is the same box model which we discussed in our last class. Okay, so if you go here, you can see this is the margin, this is the content, this is the border padding. Okay, So, so as you can see, this div is spanning to the whole block level. Okay, it's taking the whole space, whereas the span is only this much. If I hover over it, over an element, it shows its place in the HTML document. So you can see that the span is only taking this much space. So this is because this is a block element and this is an inline element. Okay, so we can even by default the predefined CSS for span is inline and for div it is block, but you can definitely change it. You can write uh, display as inline for this, and we can have display as block for this. And now you can see that it is taking the whole block. The span itself is taking the whole block of space, and the divs are somehow adjusting in. So I think because it's because of the margin. Because of the margin. Okay, it's because of the font family. There is some difference. Okay, now you can see that so it is looking. The divs are looking as spans with the spans which were earlier, and the spans are looking as the divs. Okay, so this is inline. So inline takes only the space which it requires, and the block element takes up the whole space, even if it consumes only half or a part of it. Okay. Next, we have okay. So there are some difference between inline and block elements. So if you try to define uh, width of, let's say, I want it to be 500 pixels, you can see that there is no change. But if I do the same inside of the span, you can see that it is going up to 500 pixel, and this is taking only this much. The width of the inline element is not changing. So you can't define the width property of an inline element, and similarly, you can't define the margin top. Okay, so in the last class we talked about margin, but you can see that margin are in the four directions, right? Top, left, right, bottom. So you can define it for individual direction. Like if you only want it for the top, you can define it so let's say margin top is 100 pixel, and the same is with the span. Now you can see that okay, now you can see that there is no change in the span, but this span tag, which the span element, which has display as block, is having the 100 pixel margin, but the inline is not. So inline can only have a margin horizontally, like sideways in left, either left or right, but block elements can have margins for all the four directions. Okay, and okay, suppose you want to make two such buttons. Suppose these are my buttons, and definitely suppose this is the submit button and this is the reset button. I want both of them to be in the same line, and at the same time I also want to define their margin top and bottom and their width also. So for that we have another. Wait, let me comment this out. Okay, for that we have another value for this display property, which is inline block. Okay, so what it does is that uh, okay, so we define, if we remove the width, now you can see they are in this. Let's have the width, but maybe 250 will go too much, maybe 200 pixel. Okay, so you can see that I can define their width. At the same time, I can also define their margin top and margin bottom, and they are both in the same line. So inline block has some properties of inline, like they are in the same line. And if I don't define this width, then they will only take the space which they require. Okay, and it has the properties of block as well, like you can define the margin and width. So yeah, uh, that's the difference between inline block and inline block. So you have to use them according to the needs, like when you will be working, or you have to decide whether the element should be block, inline block, or just inline. Okay, and I guess we are done with this. And yeah, I think that's it for today. We discussed the developer tool, and we did the inline block also. And yeah, so okay, I talked about the. It is just to add that this is just a line break, so it is taking the whole space and then adding a line space. So this is the div. This is the span tag because of the display block. Block elements, what they do is that they take up the whole space and add a line break. Okay, what line break means is that the next element will be in the next line. Okay, so yeah, that's for this session. That's what I wanted to discuss today. Now, Archishman will be teaching you a little about Emmet. So yeah, Archishman, you can start now.
All right. So, how many of you here, like, I am sure, like, most of you use VS Code because why not? So, how many of you here know about Emmet and like know what Emmet is and like use Emmet? You can unmute and say. Anyone? All right, no one, I guess. All right.
Okay,
Mohammed.
Archishman, just explain them what Emmet is because they might be using it and they don't know that they are using
Oh,
Emmet.
wait. Then I'll. Yeah. I hope you can see my screen. Yeah. So Emmet is this like what do you call it plugin for VS Code. It's installed by default, and what it allows is code generation. So normally, what you would do is you would make doc type HTML, then you would write HTML tags, then make a header, then put title and whatnot. No, you don't need that, right? What screen is blurry.
Yeah, I think the screen is a little blurry.
Like, is the
It will
text
great if
visible?
you can zoom in. The text will look a little clear.
Right. Is it better now?
Uh,
And is it like
yeah,
legible?
at least
It
the
is
text is
better.
visible.
It is better.
All right. So you want to close that? Yeah. So what Emmet does is like it allows code generation, and so you don't need to type all that. What you could do, like to start off an HTML page, just write exclamation mark, then press tab. Bam. You have your uh, HTML declarations. These are necessary for like to make your web page responsive and all. And you have your title. I can set this to Emmet is great because why not? All right. So moving on, Emmet has certain operators. So for example, you want to make a div. So you could write div and then press tab. That will make a div. You want an image, just press image, just like type image and press tab, it will make an image tag. Now, yeah, it is like faster than going like image source equals to whatnot. No, you don't need that. You can do that. Do this. Uh, so, like Emmet has certain operators. I'll tell you about those. So, if you want maybe like unordered list, and this is the child operator, the greater than sign. So you put that. So this, and you can put li inside. So what this says is that li is a child of ul. Like this meta tag is a child of the head tag. It's inside it. So ul will be inside the ul tag. And if you press tab, it will make a li element inside the ul element. So I will go back and say like one li inside a ul tag is like useless, right? You would want like maybe 10. So what you could do is you can put a multiplication sign like asterisk, and then write 10 and then press tab, you get 10 LIs. Right. That's the multiplication operator. What you can then imagine you want some text inside your LI. So to put container tags like div, the paragraph tag, or header tags, like h1, h2 tags, you can put like text inside those, right? So for that, you can put curly braces and then specify your text inside that, like let me say test. So I press tab here. As you can see, it put the text test inside all those li tags. Say you want to like number these now. Like you want the first one to be like test one, the second one to be test two, and all like that. There is this neat operator, the $sign. What this allows you to do is like it allows you to number your like elements or like text, whatever you want. So this will number it from 1 to 10, and you can even reverse this by putting a minus sign after it or before it. Okay, no, before it. Yeah, you can put a minus sign before it. Press tab. No, it does not work. Why no work? Oh, there it goes. My bad. You put an @ sign and then put a minus. No, why no work? Uh, You know what? I'll tell you that later if I can get it working. I don't know why it's not working. Probably using the wrong syntax. I don't know. Alright, so you got that like child operator in. Next, if you can put like custom attributes in there. Like imagine you want an image tag, you can do this then type out your source. No, what you can do is you can put like square braces, then you can specify source equals to, and for this example we have this image.png file. So what I'll do is /image.png, and I can also specify the alt text. So I'll do image, and then if I press tab, it will turn that into an image tag. Right. So that was this is how you can set like custom attributes inside elements. Then to like imagine you're making tons of divs and whatnot. So like a div, you have another div, you have a non-listed, another list, then a list, say 5 of those, or something like this. So you would want to put classes on these, right? So what you can do is you can do div, then as in CSS, the way you would select classes and IDs, put a dot for class, just like you would do in CSS, and put container. Then as a child element to that div, you can put a div with hashtags for ID. You can make it child. And imagine inside this you want an unordered list with ID, with class navbar, and with the ID navbar main. You could do that. That will put the class container. For this one, since we use the hashtag, it will put ID child, and for the UL tag, it will put navbar, and for ID, it will put navbar main because that's what we said here. Alright. So now, wait, I will turn on. Wait a second. Where is Firefox? Yeah, Firefox. Can you see Firefox? Is Firefox visible on your screens?
Oh no, your screen turned black.
Yeah, all right, wait. Properties. Why is it not working? Oh, Firefox 27. Is it visible now? No. Wait. Still not visible. All right. I do not know why that's not working. Wait a second. Just look at this then. So, alright, since Firefox won't work for now, what imagine, right? You want a table. So like table which has 5 columns and say 10 rows with headers not included in the rows. Right. So what you could do is with Emmet, you could add table, give it an ID of main table maybe, class of main table, not ID, sorry, and then put table header and table header with like header row. No, it's tr with header row. My bad. Header row with th with then a class of maybe header cell. You would want some text inside these, so you could say header, and then you can number these with the dollar sign as I told you, and say you want, as I said, I don't remember what I said, but let's just go with 6, so these, as in 6 columns. So, and then you could group all this up. The bracket sign is for grouping, as you would in like an if else statement or something like that. We have 6 of those, and then with a plus sign, this sets like siblings. So, like as you can see, the meta tag and the title tag, they are inside the same element and they are the same level. So they are siblings to each other. So what this plus sign allows you to do is allows you to set a sibling. So now whatever I put after this will be a sibling to this row. So yeah, no, I do not want that. Second. I want a sibling with all that. Yeah, I can put a table row and give us just a row. Inside that, we could have table data with class cell and with text, let's say cell, and then we can number that. Right. Now inside every like row, we want 6 columns because that's what we have for our headers. So we can specify 6, and then I can group all this and get say 10, 10 rows. So now you can see we have a table with a top row with class header row, and it has like table headers with classes header cell, which allows you to style them easily. And inside them, they have header 1, header 2, header 3, header 4, header 5, header 6. Yeah. And like as you move downwards, it's just the same thing repeated over and over again because that's what we did. So this would be rendered as header 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then cell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because they're in the same rows. All right. So that was most of the functionality of Emmet. Uh, Now, do any of you have any questions regarding this? No doubts then, I guess? Yeah, or yes, you can do a lot more in Emmet. This is nothing. You can even use Emmet in CSS, but CSS Emmet is awesome because abbreviations are weird. Indeed. Also, neat little trick for let's say VS Code. You can click all, like hold down Alt and like click anywhere. This will give you an extra cursor. Like the current like text cursor is here, right? Say you want to rename all these cells, so you don't need to go like test and go down test. No, that's not like necessary. What you can do is like put your cursor there, the Alt key, and click here to get an extra cursor. You can add as many cursors as you want. Go to backspace, test, bam, done. This is useful in like certain cases, quite specific, I know, but might find it useful. I don't know. Okay. Alrighty. So, so that was Emmet for now. Since none of you have any doubts, I guess you're done. Shivansh, do you have anything else to add?
Mm, no, I guess you taught a lot of things. Even I didn't know that much about Emmet. And uh, maybe you can teach them how to make a boilerplate for CSS, I guess, because writing all
Uh,
that stuff again and again, maybe.
like CSS boilerplate isn't really much in like with Emmet because you need to
Like it's
type out some.
optional.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like you can link your CSS quite easily. You can type link and then as it suggests CSS, you can just link that. That will do real style sheet and style.css. So if I do style CSS, open that. Yeah. So imagine I won't be actually doing any proper styling and just showing you. So the thing is, imagine you want a margin, right? Instead of typing margin, you can go margin tab. Maybe border. So like BRD, like BR is like no, BRDR is like enough for border. So we will go and like, like you don't really need to type out like the entire thing properly. Imagine you're typing margin or you make a spelling mistake. This will turn into something. That is what it's yeah, emitting CSS basically. Yeah, if you are wondering what the root element is, you don't need to worry about it now. You should be taught about it later. I'm not sure, but you will most probably be. Don't worry too much about what the
Yeah, we
root
will
is and all
teach
that.
that when we will be doing pseudo elements.
Hmm. Right, so that is it. I guess there isn't like much. You can't use much element in CSS. It's complex. So uh, what else? Yeah, exactly. Harish. You would not even realize that you're using Emmet in CSS and you'd be actually using it. Yeah, Harshit. Wait a second. Uh, wait, I will try and get this thing back running. Firefox, I have no idea why it's not working. It was working just fine 5 minutes ago. Wait a second. Window capture. Firefox. It's because of
Yeah, now
Zoom.
it's visible.
Huh. Yeah, Zoom was interfering in essence. Firefox. Alright, you can see this now. That's good. So if I go here, imagine you want to create. I will switch back over to VS Code. There you go. So imagine you want like a good nav bar because everyone likes a good nav bar. You could do div nav bar that creates a div with the class navbar, and inside that you could have an image tag with source set to our image, and with that you could I can like add a class to that and call it, let's say, logo. Then with that you could have, let's say, a p tag to specify the name of whatever you're making the web page for, and let's say tech club, because why not. And with that, you could also have a list. This I will show you what it will do. This is kind of cool. You make it nav bar nav, and inside that you could have li like a list tag with say text uh, test $sign because to click add numbers to that. And let's say you want four of those. And with to this, I will add a class of navbar links. Link. Links that messed me up once. I will not allow that to happen again. Yeah. So you have a class like a div with the class navbar, and then you have an image, uh, p tag, and an unordered list with four list elements. If I go live, this opens in Chrome. Wait, I'll quickly open it up in VS Code. I mean Firefox. 127.0. Where did this open? 5500 view. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So for now, you might think this does not look like a navbar at all. Looks so weird, is what it is. I will switch over to VS Code then. Yeah. So for the body tag, we'll quickly set margin to 0 and adding to 0 as well. And as Shivans taught today, like the content, the box sizing. I always forget the name. It's a box sizing border box. Yeah. So in here, if we access the image, then like put a class logo to it. So I'll put, oh no, wait, not the logo first. Wait a second. I'll put nav bar. I'll set its height 100 viewport width. VW. This like scales it to the entire width of your screen. Then we could make the background color say off white. Is that the color? No. Yes, khaki. This will look weird. I do not know. Like I would have gone with a better logo, but for now, this will make do, I guess. So this cover screens the entire thing like this. We don't want that. So we will also specify a height and let's say 80 pixels. Yeah, so this will be our nav bar. Then we could have logo set its height to 100% maybe. Yes, 100% like 100% height of its parent element. As you saw here, this image with the class logo is inside the div. So putting 100% in here would match its height to the div in there. Um, and like, now that you see this looks weird, it's clipping the top and the bottom. So I will reduce that to 80%. And I'll center this later and I'll show you how to do that. So then we could have, let's say, the p tag. A second. Yeah, and for the navbar, what I'm gonna do is I don't think you have done Flexbox yet. Uh, you will do it later on, but maybe what? Oh, it's a more yeah. Wouldn't width be 100 VW and not height 100 VH? Also, yes, two heights. Oh, oops, oops. I messed that. Alright, Mohammed Raza. Thanks for noticing. I did not notice that, and I added this to the wrong place. My bad. We will this to everything. Yeah. So you could have height 80% for logo, and for Naver and like you do not need to know any of this now. You will be taught all of this later on. So let's say row. That this basically like Flexbox in a nutshell would be like it puts everything inside this div, and makes it an inline element and like arranges it as you put the flex direction. So column would be like top to bottom, row is like left to right. So I'm arranging them left to right. So you see the image first, then the text, and then the unordered list. So for the logo, and then you can like center elements like quite easily here. So you see the direction towards where it's pointing at, that will be the the main axis, and then the other one would be the cross axis. So like left to right is main axis because I've put direction row. Acha, wait, you can't see this. Yeah. So left to right would be the main axis, and top to bottom will be the cross axis in this case because I put direction as the row. So that is left to right. So the line following the direction is the main axis, and the other one is the cross axis. So that is top to bottom. So if imagine you want to like center elements along the cross axis, you would put I removed the flex direction, my bad. Okay. Yeah. So you would put align items and then put center. And as you will see, it here, see it centered the image and the text and the unordered list. It's quite helpful. And we'll switch over to VS Code. Yeah. What else? Okay, so if you go to logo now, that's done. Now for the p tag. Or for the p tag, I'll show you something Shivan showed you today. That is Google Fonts. I think you can go to Google Fonts, select any font you want. I personally love Poppins and use it everywhere. Do not judge, please. And we'll select regular for now. We'll go import. Let's copy this and put this at the very top of your site. And then you can access it as a regular font. So you will do font family, Poppins. That should work, I hope. That did not work. Why did that not work? And Firefox is very glitchy today. God before P in CSS. Oh, thank you, Shivan. I am making so many mistakes today, man. Not OPP. Yeah. Alright, that works. So as you can see, the Techlo font change. That is Poppins for you. Poppins is a very nice font. So I'll now switch over to VS Code. VFP is that. I'll set font size. You should not hard code like the font size like this, like I'm doing, but it is for demonstration purposes. Like what it does is it doesn't allow you to make your like sites responsive so that they look good on mobile as well as laptop, like PCs. Okay. And then I will go over to Navbar. That was what I named it. So for Navbar nav, I can do list style. List style allows you to change these bullets. Right. So for now, I will do none because I do not want those bullets. And as you can see, they are gone. Then what I can do is for nav link, if I put, let's say, what is it? Display inline. You see now, like before there was, yeah. So as you can see, before this, they were stacked on top of each other because they were, block elements, as Shivan said. So they took up the entire width of the UL tag, their parent element. And now since they're inline, they spread. They don't take the entirety of the width. So they're all on one line now. Now I can add margins. So margin, say margin, maybe 20 pixels. 20 pixel looks good, I guess. Also font family buttons because why not? Yeah, that is how it looks. Now to align everything here to like the text, you want the image and the text to be on the left, and these links, you can turn these into links by adding anchor tags on them. I'm not doing it now, but you can do that. So, and to like, you want these to be here, right? That's what you would typically see on a website. The logo and the name here with these on the right. So, what you can do here is for navbar link, no, for this navbar, you can do justify content. What justify content is in a nutshell is it's a like this is ordered left to right. So on that axis, it pushes everything either from the center to the left or to the right. So it starts from the left and goes to the right. So the right is basically the end of this flex box. So what I can do is flex end. You will be taught all this in detail later on. Don't worry if you're missing out on it now. Uh, so flex end basically puts everything here, and then you are maybe wondering like, how would you push this back here to the left because this was from here now. What you can do is you can put margin right, I believe it was. Uh, no, margin left. My bad. Yeah. And now this is switch over to no VS Code, like Firefox. As you can see, what CSS does is it automatically calculates like how much of a margin you should have to like occupy the entirety of the parent container while making sure that the other elements in the container don't get pushed out of it. So here it put if you do Ctrl Shift inspect DevTools, which you were taught today as well. As you can see for this, the yellow thing you see, that's the margin. So it pushed everything to the left while keep making sure that everything here had ample space to be like to stay inside the parent element they share. So on tech club to the left, to the right a bit because it's like on top of the image. Or you could do um, you go to the logo and put a margin left on that. Let's say 20 pixels. And for the p tag, you could also put margin left on that, say 10, 20 pixels again. Why not? Okay. So that is what you get then by doing that. And you could adjust these spaces and put everything here as you want. To increase the space between these, you could increase the margin or decrease them if you want them closer to each other. But that is how you would make a standard nav bar. You could put a logo in there as well if you want. So, the moment what space between would do is like it would put everything in this, like it would have equal spacing between everything, which you don't want, right? You want like tech club to be towards the left and like all the things to get the right. So do any of you have any questions regarding what I just told you, except for the Flexbox bit? You will be taught that later. No questions, then I guess we are done. Shivansh?
Yeah, I think that's it for this session.
Yeah.
Uh, do you guys have any doubt like outside what Archishman taught, like while making any of your projects or anything related to web dev? No, then I guess we should conclude this session. Okay, so I'm ending it. Thanks all for attending, and also please make sure that you submit your project before the deadline, like before this Sunday. Okay. Thank you.